Hi there and welcome back to Amplify, the Personal Brand Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Bob Gentle, and every Monday I'm joined by amazing people who share what makes their business work. Now, it's very rare that a podcast interview leaves me questioning everything I do, but this interview with Tom Matzen accomplishes just that. Tom's focus is on helping people build high-ticket programs, and he explains to me why he feels the orthodox ascension model of online business will very likely never lead to genuine success for most people, and exactly what you could be doing instead. As you may know, this show is supported by our sponsor, Agora Pulse. And why is that? Well, you know how hard it is to juggle all the things in your business: accounts, meetings, the never-ending inbox, and that's why I teamed up with Agora Pulse to give you more than 5 hours back a week when it comes to managing your social media marketing. No complicated Excel docs, long emails, or millions of open tabs. Simply manage all your social media channels in one place. Go to amplifyme.agency/Agora Pulse to score 2 free months on me. Now, all you have to do is figure out how to spend those 5 extra hours. Now, if you're new to the show, could take a second right now to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes, and you can grab older ones when you're done with this one. Don't forget as well, you can join my Facebook community. Just visit amplifyme.fm/insiders and you'll be taken right there. So, welcome along and let's meet Tom. This week I am thrilled to welcome Tom Matzen to the show. Tom, for the guests who don't know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and most excitingly, what you do?
Well, thank you, Bob. So excited to be here. I always believe in podcast world, there's at least 2 people listening at any one time. So hello to both of you, and hello to you, Bob.
I don't know how true that is.
I'm a fellow Commonwealther. I'm on the west coast of Canada in a little island just outside of Vancouver. And we have an island the size of Manhattan, but with 3,500 people. So we practice social distancing as a lifestyle choice. I don't know about this COVID craziness. We've been doing it for years. We love it. We love it. And for me, I focus this section of my business career. I've been an entrepreneur for 39 years. I know it doesn't look a day over 38, but really it's 39 years. And the last 7 or 8 years, I've been focusing entirely on helping authority entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, influencers, package their wisdom and knowledge and build 7- and 8-figure businesses and global movements at the same time. So my title officially is Chief Movement Maker. Over those 30-some years, I've started 89 businesses of my own, 8 of them to 7 figures and beyond, several crashed and burned, and most somewhere in between. So I've made more mistakes on my own businesses than most people make in a lifetime, made and lost millions many times over. And I think that's part of the value that I bring to the table, is that not only have I succeeded in a number of areas, but I've also failed miserably in many others. And, as you know, some of the best lessons come if we're open to learn. Some of the best lessons come from those failures.
Absolutely. I think for the listener, it's maybe worth noting you and I met on a summit where we were both panelists. And the thing that really leapt out was that you had a very different attitude. And it wasn't so much what you said as the things around what you said that had me intrigued. And before we started recording, you were talking about the ascension model and how the ascension model doesn't work. So I guess I'd like to jump straight into that. So for the listener who doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, for the information entrepreneur, the knowledge entrepreneur, the authority entrepreneur, what would they normally be told about how to build their business? And how does your philosophy to that differ?
Yeah, great question. And I'm happy to talk about this because one of the biggest myths perpetrated by the so-called gurus in our space is that you start with a free item, then a low-ticket tripwire of some sort, an ebook or a mini course, and then you work your way up. And you go to a higher priced course, and then maybe you go to a full course at $2,000, and then you get into some high ticket offerings and grow from there. And they teach this and they tell you to do this. And I can tell you, Bob, I've met over 10,000 people in our space who sell their wisdom and knowledge now. 5 make money with an ascension model. 5. Some break even on the ascension model, which is the sophisticated way to actually use it. You lose money on all the front ends, you break even on some of the middles, and you eventually move to the high ticket. But here's the thing they don't tell you, and it blows my mind, is that all of the ones that are making real money, and by real money, I mean mid-7 figures and up, mid-7 figures, 8 figures, and so on. So, $5 million a year, $10 million a year, and so on. They all make their real money off their high ticket offering. And I've got a chance to share the stage with most of them. I know many of them. I've been behind the scenes in the green rooms and masterminds with these people, and they'll tell you very freely in those settings that's the situation. In fact, when I first was exposed to this, I just joined Jeff Walker's Platinum Mastermind. And for those that don't know Jeff, he's the launch guy, the product launch formula guy. Right?
Literally, he is the man on the internet.
He is the man. His clients have done over 500 million in sales using launches. And we were in one of his high-end masterminds. It was his baby one. It was just 18 grand a year, and there were 73 of us. He had a much higher end one that was 35 grand a year and a wait list called Platinum Plus. But just the normal mastermind, there were 70 some of us. And he shared that on his launches, now remember, this is the launch king. This is one of the best guys in the world at it. He breaks even at around 2.1 million on a launch. He breaks even, which means if he does $1.5 million for a launch, which is phenomenal results. If you've ever tried that launch format, you know how phenomenal that is. He loses several $100,000. And he's quite prepared to do that because he understands business and model and lifetime value customer and everything else. But and Jeff doesn't tell people to do an ascension model, start small. He at least gets them to start at the $2,000 level. But so many people in our space teach this ascension model. And the reason they do is they have already established their high ticket program. They're already making money in their high ticket program. And now they're infilling, or what some people lovingly describe, squeezing $1 out of every person on their list, which is just a lovely metaphor, isn't it? That we're being squeezed. It's kind of like an infection or something. But that's what it is. They're literally squeezing money out because they know, Tony Robbins shared with me 3% of people that buy courses from him complete them. Not get results. That's smaller. Just complete the course. Courses don't work. And by the way, that's Tony Robbins' crowd. And if you ever met any Tony Robbins acolytes, or perhaps you are one, you're pretty enthusiastic. You're pretty committed. You're pretty self-driven. And 3% of that audience completes the course. So that's kind of like the gold bar standard. And so we learned very quickly that courses and ascension model are completely the wrong way to go if you want to create a business. And if you want to have impact for your clients, and if you want your clients to complete your training and get results, because you need to have skills, accountability, and mentorship when you're training people, or they're not going to get results. They're just not going to get results. And you can't afford to do skills, accountability, and mentorship unless you're selling high ticket. And so we teach it the opposite way. We call it a descension model. It's what Tesla used to build the most profitable car company in the world. They used a descension model. It's what a lot of other smart information marketing entrepreneurs are teaching now, guys like Nick Kuzmich and Joel Irway. But it's still probably 80% of the world is being taught ascension model. And probably most of the people listening to this today have been taught, start with a small free item and then a small purchase and then a small purchase. And the economics just don't add up unless you're a massively good marketer and are massively good at copywriting and conversions and optimizing and split testing. And most of us aren't. Most of us aren't. And so not only is it a tough strategy, you have to be so freaking good at these components to make it work that I'll tell you a fascinating story, Bob. I had an interview, a strategic alliance discussion with one of those 5. Remember I said there were 5 out of 10,000 that make money at it?
Yeah.
Well, one of them, a very strong, solid entrepreneur, you'd know his name if I shared it with you, but he shared this with me in confidence, so I won't use his name here. He scrapped the entire ascension model, and he was making money at every step of the way. And we're talking millions. And I asked him, I said, why did you scrap it? He said, because they weren't getting results. And I cannot sell something that people aren't getting results. And so he's flipped his model on his head, and he does a high ticket offer first. And his first year switching it over was last year. His first time offering that new approach, he did $8.3 million on his launch. $8.3 million on his launch. Completely changed his business, his life. He was so much happier. His team was happier. They were getting results because this was mainly a done-for-you offer. So they didn't have to wait for anyone to show up and do it. They did it for the clients. It was just brilliant. And I really admired him, because it's one thing if you're sucking wind and not making any money and you hear this advice from me and I give you a better way and you try it out. I hope you do. But imagine if you're making millions and you scrap it, because not that it's not making you money, because your clients aren't getting results. But that takes guts. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah. But also if you, it might be making money, but it's how you're making it. How much work are you having to put in to make that money?
Yes.
What's the lifestyle that you're managing to achieve? Because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to keep in your head. There's a lot of complex systems.
And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients, if not thousands, to do any real volume. Whereas with our approach, we teach our clients to do high-ticket programs that guarantee results for their clients. Typically, they're $25,000 or $100,000. Those are the two most common price points for those programs. They start at $10,000, but most are $25,000 or $100,000. Well, you don't have to be much of a math major. At $25,000 a person, how many clients do you need to do $1 million a year, Bob?
Yeah.
I don't mean to put you on the spot like while we're here live, but
dyscalculia is my main thing, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
40. I'll give you a hint. 40. Not 400, not 4,000, not 40,000 tripwires, 40 clients. Well, most people can imagine working with 40 clients. In fact, probably most people listening to this either have 40 clients or have had a total of more than 40 clients. But they're probably, statistically speaking, they're probably not running a 7-figure a year business. Because in our experience, they're selling them the low-ticket stuff that doesn't have skills, accountability, and mentorship, so they can't guarantee results, so it makes it tougher to sell. It's really easy to sell a program when you guarantee results. Our $100,000 programs guarantee $1 million in sales. It's pretty easy to sell them. You don't need fancy copy skills. You don't need subconscious commands. Buy now, Bob. It's time to seize your destiny. And you slipped in the words, buy now, right? I knew that world. I was trained by the neuroassociative conditioning peeps and the NLP peeps. And I used to sell webinars. I used to sell that way, and I never liked it. But in order to be effective, I studied from the best, and that's what it took in that environment, especially with webinars, because webinars are a big exercise in manipulation, done right. And about 6 years ago, we switched from webinars to masterclasses, and I'm so grateful, because masterclasses are just education-based marketing. They're what webinars were intended to be, but they found out that wasn't as effective as manipulation. And so the great webinar trainers, even today, will teach you how to manipulate the heck out of your prospect, make them feel like crap, make them feel like you're their solution, you're their salvation. Right, Bob? You buy my course, buy my program, and your world will be saved. And if you don't, they'll say things like, it's not for you if you don't want to grow your business. Well, what kind of loser statement is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the webinar training that I went on, and you've literally described it in very few words. It's 5 steps of what's the problem, what would life be like if that wasn't a problem, blah, 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 blah.
And you have to do that in a webinar format because you've got such a short window that you can't educate them thoroughly on the topic. And so I get it. I did it for over 10 years. I made more than $250,000 a year off webinars. I understood it. But it always felt kind of slimy, frankly, especially the better I got at it. I didn't like it. And then when I saw this other approach, I was like, oh, this is so much better. In our master classes, we take 3 hours to teach the topic. We teach the entire topic best we can, the whole strategy. And our offer simply is, now you know how to do it. Would you like help? Or do you want to do it on your own? You want to do it on your own? You know how? Good for you. Let us know. Keep in touch. You want our help? Here's how we can help you.
So I have a question for you.
Yep.
I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, and it might not be true, but and we're going to sort of speak about the coach slice of the market at the moment. That the average coach in the US, and I'm sure it's the same in other places, struggles to make over $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
And
51,000 is the latest data. $51,000 the average business coach Average life coach and business coach combined is 32,000.
Right. So what I'm reading from that, juxtaposed with the picture you paint, is, and I'm imagining that if you are that business coach that's struggling to break 50 grand a year, and you hear somebody talking about selling high ticket at 20, 25 grand, there's a mindset issue obviously going to jump out saying, I could never do that. I couldn't sell a 25 grand a year package. If I've been struggling to make 50 grand a year, how the hell am I going to sell a 20 grand a year package?
Really good question. And there's several parts to that answer. First off, just recognize that mindset issues are there for all of us. I know guys, literally at our last big global summit, we had a billionaire in the room and he had mindset issues. So first off, just know mindset and triggers are just part of the journey. And if you don't think that's the case, then you're fooling yourself. Okay, so just recognize that. As an old mentor once said to me, you say to that voice in your head, thank you for sharing, and you move on. Okay, number one. Number two, it all depends on your strategy. See, what most of us spend the time focusing on is tactics. And that's, to me, one of the differences between a small business owner and an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur spends more time on their business, working on strategy, rather than the tactics of execution. And they look at it differently. In our case, we help brand new authorities sell high ticket programs. We've got lots of authority. We've done this a whole bunch. So people say, oh, it's easy for you to sell those things, blah, blah, blah. Well, because we teach them to link their payments to results for their clients, they can say, well, Bob, but we're going to work together. That's why I only ask for 25% down. All the rest is linked to results. And I'm so confident I can get you there that I'm prepared to take the payments linked to results.
So can you break
if
that
you truly
down for me
are
a little
confident about that, it'll come through in the conversation, and the right person, the ideal prospect, the ideal target market, will go, fantastic, let's talk.
So can you break down the linking payments to results in practical terms? How does that actually work?
Well, we call that risk reversal. My old mentor, Jay Abraham, the $21 billion marketing guru, he calls it risk reversal. And so I use that term instead of guarantee. Because what you're really doing, if you think about it, is you're taking the risk off your prospect's shoulders and you're putting it on your shoulder. That's the key. And we teach a process of doing that. It's 6 steps. So the first thing you want to do is identify the biggest risks your prospects face when working with you. Obviously, time and money are 2 of them, but what other risks are there? What other risks are there? For example, right, in the old days, IBM used to be known as inferior but marketable. That was their nickname from the competition, right? But here's the thing. If you were in a big corporation and you hired IBM, you never got fired for hiring IBM. There was no risk of being fired if you hired IBM. If you hired cousin Johnny in his basement and the IT department crashed and burned, you were gone, right? So there's all kinds of risks prospects face when working with you. The first step you want to do is identify them. The second, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, next, you want to create the biggest, boldest possible guarantee you can create. So before you figure out how you can deliver on it, you come up with the biggest, boldest possible guarantee. And if you're a business coach, it should be sales or profit or clients. Period, full stop. Sales, profit, or clients, because that's what they want. Now, if you're a life coach, you want to get into joy and happiness and sleeping at night, and there may be other factors that come into play. But let's focus on business coaches, because that's one of the easiest ways to monetize, is to help other entrepreneurs. Well, they're not looking to release triggers. They're not looking to have inner peace. They're not looking to have more smiles on their face. Those are all byproducts of what they want. But what they want, if you talk to them, is I want more sales, I want more profit, I want more clients. Some combination of those. And, if it's men, it's primarily sales and profit. If it's women, it's primarily impact and clients. So if you have an audience focus, and you should, distinguish it that way for sure. But the first thing you want to do is come up with the boldest possible guarantee you can create. So we have a local area mastermind called Get It Together. And in the Get It Together mastermind, these are for local businesses, we guarantee $250,000 in sales in 12 months. Really clean, really simple. $250,000 in sales in 12 months. And we often have businesses come in that did $100,000 last year in total sales, right? So that's bold for them, right? That's bold for them. We have international programs where we guarantee $1 million in sales, several of them actually. One involving LinkedIn, one involving a book, one involving a podcast. We're launching one in about a week as we record this on virtual summits. Basically, what we do is we partner with world-class authorities. We take our high-ticket program strategy and their expertise in that niche and combine them to something that delivers amazing results. And so, biggest, boldest possible guarantee you can create. Second step. You with me so far?
Got you. I'm making notes.
Great. And then number 3, this is where the work is. You figure out how to deliver on that bold guarantee. You figure out how to deliver on that. And if you're on your own and you're listening to this and going, well, how the heck do I do that? Get help. Oh, for Pete's sake, get help. Find, watch one of our master classes. They're all free. Every one of our master classes are free. Or find someone else who knows how to guarantee results. But Lordy, don't try and figure this out on your own, right? If you're taking up a new sport, right? Like, what's one of your favorite sports, Bob?
I love snowboarding.
Snowboarding. Oh, perfect example. If you try and teach yourself snowboarding, what do you get? You get a sore what, Bob?
Oh, broken bones.
Broken
all
bones and a sore ass.
Yeah.
Like, your butt gets pounded and pounded and pounded. It is a tough sport. I was a skier, 2 skis, and I started trying to snowboard on my own. What a stupid mistake that was. That lasted 1 day of trying to do it on my own because it was like ridiculous, right? And yet if you get someone to teach it to you, they teach you the right way to stand, the right way to fall, the right way to put your hands when you fall. All kinds of stuff I learned. I had to laugh. The first thing he taught me was how to fall. And it was a good thing because he saw how coordinated I was. So I needed that. Right? So you get someone involved who knows how to do this, but you figure out how to deliver on that bold guarantee. And sometimes that's simple, sometimes that's complex. But then step 4 is where the magic is on this. I call it anuragging your plan. And I call it that because Anurag Gupta, one of the smartest business coaches I know, taught me this strategy. So I call it anuragging in his honor. And by the way, he takes companies that do 10 million a year and gets them to $1 billion with a B.
Ooh.
And has a 100% success rate. Now, I will tell you, there's some fine print. If he hires you or you hire him and you don't listen, he fires you. So not 100% of the people that start with him get to that level, but 100% of the people that start with him and listen do. And for you yoga fanatics out there, you might know the store Lululemon. His first client was Chip Wilson, went from store 1 to $1 billion in sales in that area. So the guy really, really, really knows how to scale. And his strategy of anuragging, we teach all of our clients and all of our master classes all the time. So you've got your plan to deliver on your bold guarantee. Now what you do is you build in triple redundancy. So the first thing you do, and I'm going to go through this quick, but it's so powerful. If you want to dig into it, anyone listening in, reach out and I'll get you a link to some training on it. The first thing you do is you double the goal. So let's go back to that local business of $250,000 in sales. Okay, Bob? Because that's something that's more within most people's grasp. $1 million can intimidate some people, right? $250,000 in sales. What we do is we double the goal to $500,000. First step. So we're actually not trying to get you $250,000 in our Get It Together brand. We're trying to get you $500,000. Then we figure out, with your cooperation, 3 different strategies, each capable of getting you to $500,000. Super important. Each of the strategies are capable of getting to $500,000 on their own. Now, what are you playing for? Well, $500,000 times 3. Okay, Bob. With or without the calculator, what's that?
I think that was 3 million.
$500,000 times 3.
1.5.
$1.5 million.
Yeah.
So that's 6 times your original goal, right? Original goal is $250,000. Now we've created a plan for $1.5 million. So we blow through the $250,000 on the way there. We blow through. Do we get to $1.5 million? No, normally not. But we blow through $250,000 on the way there. So that's step 4. We call that anuragging your plan. Step 5, you then link payments to your client's results. Your client's results. So that's where your question was. This is where it fits in the process. So in a $25,000 program, we typically ask for 25% up front because if they don't have skin in the game, they don't listen. Plain and simple. If they don't have skin in the game, they don't listen. Now, does skin in the game mean they will listen? Not always. This is the real world. But it so much increases the odds over no skin in the game. So we recommend 25% on $25,000 programs. We recommend 25% down. On $100,000 programs, we'll do it for 12.5% down. But on $25,000 programs, we recommend a quarter down, so $6,250, and then everything else is linked to results. In our case, we recommend the next 25% when they can self-fund that payment, which is typically about $50,000 in sales for most people, given their margin, right? So we'll do $6,250 and then $6,250 at $50,000 in sales, and then we do 12.5, 50% when they get to the $250,000. You know how happy they are to give us that final payment, Bob?
Yeah, I can actually really see that.
Right.
I think
it becomes a no-brainer for them. They're like, oh my God, I love that. I love that. That would be incredible. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. And then step 6 to this risk reversal process is you got to test and measure. Because a lot of people think guarantees are about money back. And we don't, you notice in that process, there was no money back offered.
Yeah.
Right? The skin in the game is skin in the game. They need to have a commitment. They need to be all in on applying this approach of yours, whatever it happens to be. And so what we've learned is they need that. You don't want to refund that. Besides, you've already delivered the value on that. However, you don't get any of the other payments unless they get the results. And so whether you're doing a done with you coaching scenario or a done for you where you're doing most of the heavy lifting, either way, you're getting paid based on results. They're ecstatic to pay you. And if they struggle and don't get results, guess what you get to do? You get to up your game and help them out even more, which is totally smart. Like, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. Right now, it's a competitive advantage to market this way. I hope someday it'll be the law, frankly.
Well, I love it because I think anybody listening knows that they can deliver if they can get the client engaged.
Yes.
And this, you're right, it makes so much sense. I can totally see this. I mean, I had a lot of reservations when we started speaking because I'm thinking, well, I got a real problem with some clients. And if any clients are listening, and any client that is listening, this is not about you.
Of course not. It's the other one. It's
but
the other person.
A lot of clients, they hire you and they want you to come and wave a magic wand and fix them. They don't want to participate in that. They just want the painkillers. They don't want the diet and exercise.
Yes.
And you've engineered that in.
Well, you got to build in skills, accountability, and mentorship if you want to deliver results. We talked about Tony Robbins and 3% of people with courses. Programs where you build in skills, accountability, and mentorship get between 20 and 80% results. So orders of magnitude better than a program, but still not 100%. My idol in this space, my absolute top of the pile mentor, is a lady called Wendy Lipton-Dibner. She gets 93% completion, Bob.
Wow.
93%. Now, I went to her deep dive training on it, and the reason she does is she teaches 14 strategies you simultaneously execute with every client, and 4 strategies to make sure you're screening and qualifying them and only letting in the right people. So 18 different strategies overlaid to get to 93%. I love it. I just love it. I love it. And we're implementing them, and we've gone from 20 to 43 on some of our programs. We've gone from 40 to 60 on some of our programs. I'm not going to be happy until we get to 83%. Or sorry, 93%. 93%. Sorry, Wendy. I want to at least match Wendy. I'm not going to be happy until then. So it's possible to get dramatic results. But if you're not charging enough money for it, you can't afford to build in skills, accountability, and mentorship.
That's absolutely it. I think what I'm seeing here, just visualizing what life would be like implementing this kind of model, is you have time.
Yes.
You have time to work with these clients and do it right. But you also have time to really serve your audience with no expectations of something back in return. That you can be as nice and helpful and generous as you like, and you don't need money for it.
Totally. Well, I get more joy out of our masterclass attendees that never spend a dime with us. The reviews they write, the recommendations they give us, I mean, they would make my mom proud. I mean, it's amazing some of the reviews and recommendations we get from non-payers, from what the industry lovingly calls freebies, freeloaders, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Not everyone has the capital. Not everyone's ready to make the changes in their life. It's not just the capital. It's the ready. Are they ready? Not everyone's ready. You got fast movers, medium movers, and slow movers. Everyone knows that. If you've been in business more than a year, you know Some people move fast, some people move medium, and some people move slow. Well, we design our master classes for the medium and slow movers. The fast movers have already engaged us. By the time a master class comes around, they're ready to rock and roll and have some fun. So those people are a whole different breed. They're the ones that value their time more than their money. So if you can speed up their solution, they're all over it. They're all over it, right? You've met people like that, Bob. They're just like chop, 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 chop. You can get me there? Good, I'm in. Let's go.
So I want to ask, on behalf of the person who's been plodding away, trying to sell $50 memberships or £400 or £500 a month masterminds, and they want to move from what's keeping them afloat to what's going to change the game for them. So the way things have always been done to the way things could be done.
Yeah.
How do you turn that oil tanker?
Yeah, it's strategy. It's strategy. And I'll give you two examples. On the membership side, the person who teaches memberships the most and sells the most trainings on this subject will be well known to the people that do membership sites out there. His internal data, which he doesn't tell you until you spend a couple of grand on his program, or his course, really. He doesn't tell you until then, is that the average person stays with you 4.3 months. You think anyone would ever start a membership site if they knew that? That 4.3 months was the average time someone would stay with you? Nobody would do a membership site. I spent over $250,000. I was going to launch Netflix for entrepreneurs several years ago. I had this great idea. I was going to innovate the world and blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Same thing. And it's like, oh, man, you can't make money on 4.3 months. So first off, you got to be careful who you're getting your strategy from. On the mastermind side, the best example I can give you is a gentleman we just awarded the rights to United Kingdom and Ireland to, Neil O'Brien. Neil runs masterminds as his business, and typically for £900 a month. And he heard about our approach from someone in another mastermind that I'm part of. And we met and he watched our masterclass and he goes, I can't believe that. Like, why have I not thought of charging $25,000 and guaranteeing results? This is brilliant. And, about a month and a half later, he bought the rights to a huge area. He's going to open up 100 chapters of this brand. And he's starting to fill his first chapter in Ireland right now as we record this. And this is a guy who does masterminds for a living and at £900 a month. So it's not a super low end price point. But he saw our model and structure and went, oh my gosh. And in this particular case, because we have a whole bunch of systems to make it easier to sell and screen and qualify and train and get results, he decided to partner up with us instead of just do it on his own. But frankly, when we share our masterclasses, we're happy with either solution. Some people love to partner up and get help. Some people just got to do it on their own. They got to learn the lessons the hard way because that's how they're wired. My strategic advice is get help from someone who's been there because it makes it easier and cheaper. As I previewed at the very beginning, I've made and lost millions many times over. Every time I lost millions, it was by either ignoring counsel and advice or not seeking it. And every time I've made millions is the exact opposite. It's like, what a surprise. You think eventually it would sink through to my skull. Well, now it has. For the last 10 years, it totally has. And what a surprise. Now the failures have disappeared from my business portfolio. And now it's success or crushing success. It's not all crushing success still, because you got to test and measure and optimize. And some ideas are better than other ideas. But now the massive failures have been eliminated from my model. And trust me, I'm much happier. I'm much happier. So if you're struggling with this idea and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired because you've got a hobby business, not a real business, you need to make a shift. You need to change your strategy. The tactics are easy to figure out once you change your strategy. And so few people think about even your own behavior. You're listening to this, right? Most of the time you're listening to figure out, how do I run a Facebook ad? Or how do I use this? Or how do I use my blog? Or how do I do how do I write a headline? Or how do I do this? What are you doing that for? Those are all tactics. Focus on the strategy. How do I make 7 figures working less hours than I am now? Now, that's a good question. How do I make 7? Because one of the things we haven't talked about yet is how do you create a program, if you're a coach, that is scalable? And here's my definition of scalable. This is a tough one. I learned this from Frank Bria, who wrote the book Scale. Be a great guest for you someday, Bob, by the way. You'd love him. His definition of scale is you get a new client, no more work for you. Now, that's a tough definition.
Yeah.
Right? That's a tough definition. Even in our high-end programs, most of the onboarding calls are done by one of our senior people, sometimes by me, but now not always by me. So we're partly fully scaled. And I've been at this 6 years, and I teach it. So I'm not saying it's easy to pull off a scalable business, but you absolutely can't do it unless you are including scalable strategies. So one-on-one is never scalable. Group coaching is scalable. Virtual training, of course, is scalable. Masterminds are scalable. Done-for-you services that are scalable by design are scalable. Done-for-you services that are custom are not. So for you website builders out there, use templates, not custom. Oh, everybody wants a custom. Well, but then you're going to be a servant to them. You're never going to have a scalable business. That's your choice. You can do that. Because, see, we really don't want a website. Now I'm going to get preachy again. We really don't want a website. As a business owner, what do we want, Bob? When we say to someone, build me a website, we don't want a website. What do we want?
We want customers.
Yeah. At the very least, we want a lead generation machine of some sort. We want a bunch of prospects to raise their hand and say, Bob, tell me more about what you do. I might be interested.
So
Right?
this is where I wanted to go next, was in order to make money online, there's a fairly simple formula. And depending on how you implement this formula will sort of dictate your success or lack of it. And it's traffic plus conversion equals money. So one thing we've spoken about is the conversion. What are you converting people on? If it's a high ticket offer, if you can convert them and you can scale that, you'll do well. And if you can retain them, you'll grow, and you'll grow really, really nicely. Once your clients have converted to your sort of methodology, for want of a better word, how do they then go about the audience side of things differently? How do you reach people?
Yeah, superb question. And it's essential that as entrepreneurs, we figure this out. It's not just a good idea or nice to know. It's essential. I believe that the leader of the business is responsible for marketing and innovation, period. And everyone else on your team, as you build a team, should be responsible for everything else. So what is marketing? To me, marketing is, I don't even use marketing and sales as terms because there's too much confusion about how it's applied. I call it lead generation and lead conversion. Lead generation, lead conversion. What's lead generation? Taking people that are suspects, that might be a prospect, and educating them to the point where they raise their hand and say, tell me more. And in the digital world, electronically, metaphorically, they make an inquiry and say, tell me more. Or they opt in for your lead magnet. They do something that says, I'm kind of interested in this. That's lead generation. And mastering lead generation is a very teachable skill. We teach all of our clients how to do it. We have many master classes that teach it. It is a very masterable skill if your strategy is clear, because you're actually seeking a narrow segment, not everyone. And when you know what that narrow segment is, i.e. your ideal target market, it's really easy to attract them, because lead generation is nothing more than saying, here's a problem you have, and I know you have it because I know you and people like you, and here's a solution for that problem. Would you like the solution? Click here, opt in here, whatever, come here, watch my this, whatever. And as long as you know the pain that you're solving is perfectly suited to them, it's quite easy to do that. Now, extra for experts, for you advanced marketers, we call this a strategic lead magnet, because if you do it right, two things happen. And I really learned this at a mastery level from Nick Kuzmich, who gets $30,000 a month as a Facebook marketing retainer. $30,000 a month, Bob. His clients pay him. And then they spend $70,000 to $80,000 a week on ad.
Ooh.
Yeah. So just imagine how good you got to be on lead generation to keep paying someone that. That's what I look at. He's generated over 100 million in sales, over 10 million leads for his clients on high ticket programs. And the nuances on strategic lead magnets, the first one is you solve their most important pain in such a way that they are still hungry for more. The first part I used to do. The second part, I didn't. I would give them the whole damn solution on a lead magnet if I could. I'd send them a book. I'd send them a video, detailed training. I'd send them as much help as I could. And it wasn't until I met Nick that I realized I was hurting them. I was hurting those prospects by solving the entire thing, because guess what? Without skills, accountability, and mentorship, they're not going to get it done. So if you give someone the entire solution plan, well, let me ask you this. How many people do you think attend our master classes on how to make $1 million and make $1 million without hiring us?
Zero.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met one yet. Actually, that's not quite true. I've met one, and we're now partners, and we do a program around podcast. It's called $1 Million Authority Accelerator Program, where his team sets up Dream 100 prospect interviews for the podcast, and we do the high ticket program, and together we guarantee $1 million in 12 months. Okay, so he's now a partner. That's how impressed I was by his ability to execute before he was a client. So yeah, I met one. So it's statistically some have for sure, but the nuance was the lead magnet solves their burning problem, but doesn't satisfy everything. It leaves them hungry, just like a good webinar would do. It leaves them hungry. And then your lead conversion process, in our case, we use master classes, shows them the whole plan. In this case, you show the whole plan. The more you show, the better it converts, because your offer simply is, would you like help? And so in that example of the $1 Million Authority Accelerator Program with Josh, in hour 2 of our 3-hour masterclass, we show Josh's entire 18 steps for taking someone and perfectly nurturing them for your podcast, so that, wait for it, 93% of them book a call after saying, how can I help you, Bob? How can I help you? Like 93% he gets. It's crazy. Well, but he's got a system, and it's 18 steps. And in that second hour, we teach the whole 18 steps. Well, guess what happens? The right people go, holy cow, they totally know what they're doing. And I would go nuts trying to recreate this on my own. I'm way smarter partnering with these guys. And in our case, it's 12.5% down on that program. So 12.5% down, all the rest linked to results, and we're guaranteeing $1 million in sales. Hello.
And I'm sitting here reflecting on how much value people give their clients, that they're not business is a value exchange. And a lot of the time, if you're not trying to deliver that value to the right person at the right time, you're not going to get the value that you really deserve.
Yes. Money is just a reflection of the value we bring our clients.
Yeah. And by guaranteeing results and really spending the time to go out and reach the clients who really, really need those results, you can unlock that value. It's such a nice way of looking at things. Really, really elegant.
Thank you.
I'm so glad we spoke.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And to both the two of you listening in, congratulations.
I think somebody sort of joined us halfway through.
Excellent. 3 of you. High five.
So, Tom, if somebody wants to connect with you, how would you like them to do that?
Well, you see, we're so passionate about teaching people this approach that last year we ran a test where we gave away $1 million worth of our high ticket program to people to create, blueprint, validate, and sell their first or their next high ticket program. We call it the Game Changer Program Academy. And that scholarship offer went so well, we ended up doing $5 million worth of scholarships last year. This year, we have strategically decided to double down and at least give $25 million in scholarships away. So the good news is, if you're this far into the recording and you're still with us, congratulations, you're pretty smart. Second, there'll be a link in the show notes that will invite you to apply for a scholarship. Now, right now, as of recording this, 81% of the people that apply get it. So you won't be guaranteed to get it, but it's a $10,000 program. We teach the entire process of creating, blueprinting, validating, and selling a high-ticket program. There's no investment of capital, but there is an investment of time. You need to put some time in. The fastest we've had someone pull it off is about 28 days is our current record, from start to selling their first high-ticket program through the scholarship. 28 days, that's the fastest. But it's a 4-month program. It comes with 15 coaching calls a month and templates and an accountability partner and all the training and a whole bunch of stuff. And we'd be honored to give it away to your listeners. We literally, our nonprofit does this. It's called the Entrepreneur Empowerment Institute. Our mission of the nonprofit is to reverse the failure rate of small business around the globe. Right now, 2 out of 3 small businesses fail in the first 6 years. And that's pre-COVID craziness.
Yeah.
Right? That's in good time. And that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that 2 out of 3 entrepreneurs fail. So we give these away as a strategy to reverse that failure rate. So all we ask in return, if you apply for a scholarship and you get in there, is you apply it.
Yeah,
you apply it. You show up. You put it into action. And we already know if you do that, you'll get results. And if you do that, you'll refer other people to us. And if you do that, you'll become a raving fan. We already know that. But I'll tell you, Bob, this won't surprise you. Half the people we give scholarships to don't show up.
Well, I am going to have my Black Friday elbow guards and knee pads on. I'm going to be at the front of the queue.
Love it. Well, we have I didn't tell you this before, but we have a 98.3% podcast host application rate. We have literally one podcast host since we started this who said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm like, what are you not? Okay, fine. So, but yeah, we'd love to have you in there, Bob. Absolutely. There is so much opportunity. There is so much impact that's being left away. Plus, let's face it, you could have 20 people on the same topic with the same offer, and each of them could have 40 clients, each doing $1 million a year.
Yeah. I think when you're operating at the right level, you move into a post-competition space.
Yes. In fact, my old mentor, Jay, calls it the strategy of preeminence.
Mm.
When you're doing something so well that there is no direct competition, there's always indirect competition. But when you're doing something so well, there's no direct competition. It's the strategy of preeminence. And I'll wrap with a quick story. You talk about being outside your comfort zone and stretching to do this. We're developing a new program right now that's the best of all of those 6-figure programs combined. And we're going to guarantee $10 million in sales in 36 months. We're going to take all of those strategies and then add a global licensing play to it. And I'm super excited about it. And it's super stretching our comfort zone. But in our world, the 36 months is annurag, which means we actually think we can get someone there in 18 months.
Mm.
And that was stretching our comfort zone. Like, how do we get someone there? We actually tried for a year. We tried, how can we do it in a year? And we literally figured out we couldn't. It would take 18 months. So we're calling it a 36-month program. It's going to guarantee $10 million in sales. The fee will be 1/10 or $1 million. And people will put 10% of that down, which is still $100,000. Like, significant. It's not for everyone, obviously. But we're going to guarantee $10 million in sales. And I will tell you this, we will have a 100% success rate. We're going to annurag the heck out of that one, like all of our programs. But that one is going to be my annurag Gupta equivalent. It's going to be that, it's not 10 million to $1 billion, but taking an authority entrepreneur and getting to 10 million, that'll be the equivalent. And so we're super excited about that. But we walk our talk on this. We walk our talk. What's the biggest, boldest thing we could think of? How do we backward shape it? How do we guarantee it? Then how do we annurag it? How do we set the pricing up so it's linked to results? We walk our talk on these things. And if you're listening in and you're a tall, sick and tired of not making the money you deserve to make, and frankly, not having the impact you feel you need to have in the world or deserve to have in the world or ought to have in the world, then apply for the scholarship and we'll see you inside the Game Changer program. We'd love it.
Tom, I am so glad I had you on the show. I have had the best time. I think a lot of people have a lot to think about. A lot of people probably going to be going for a walk right now. So thank you so much for your time. It's been great to speak to you.
You're welcome.
Before you go, it.
Yes, sir.
What's one thing that you do now that you wish you'd started 5 years ago?
Oh, a bunch of things. Because we're constantly innovating. 5 years ago and now, well, it's a advanced application of annuragging. So let me describe it quickly for you. When we teach annuragging, we talk about triple redundancy, right? Double the goal and triple redundancy. But the actual strategy to get someone from 10 million to $1 billion is you build in triple redundancy at every step. So you have 3 programs. You have 3 target audiences, and you have 3 ways to fill each of the program target audience combinations. That matrix Do not try this at home, kids, when you're first starting out, okay? Promise me, you do not want to try this. But I wish I had tried that 5 years ago because I was familiar with anuragging 5 years ago. And now we realize by doing that, you're building redundancy on top of redundancy on top of redundancy. More work to set it up, way less risk on the outcome. And I'll give you a very specific example. We launched our very first big virtual event this January, and it was called the Strategic Alliance Live. Well, actually, we called it Strategic Alliance Summit. We've now rebranded it to Strategic Alliance Live. And it's an all deal-making virtual event. 3 days, joint ventures and strategic alliances for 3 days. I love it. We did this live for 6 years in person. Because of COVID, we went to cyber. We got way more people to come out, blew our minds, signed some $4 billion in term sheets. Just it was absolutely amazing. Now we're going to do it 3 times a year. So if you're tuning in, go to Strategic Alliance Live and you can get all the details. Our goal was 1,000 people registered. And keep in mind, Bob, we've never done a virtual event, okay? We've never done a virtual event. We've done masterclasses tons. We've done live events tons. But the live events for this topic were always hand curated. 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen people was our biggest. And we wanted 1,000. And we put in this strategy of anuragging, the way I just described it, all 3 levels. And we had 7 main strategies to fill the room as part of that. 7, not 3, 7. 6 failed miserably. I mean, really failed, not just a little bit. Like, oh my God, do you know what you're doing? Failed, okay? And we had 3,900 people register.
Wow.
And it was just, we did a 7-figure event. We did multiple 7-figures since the event. We're going to launch it now, and we're doing it 3 times a year. It'll be an 8-figure division this year. The entire thing was because we anuragged our anuragging. We did that. And so for me, without a doubt, that's the single biggest thing I wish I had done 5 years ago, that I thought, oh, that's too much work. Well, you know what's too much work? Struggling to be broke. That's too much work. Doing one-on-one coaching for the rest of your life, that's too much work, right? This is way, way more fun and way easier. So there you go.
Tom, you have been an awesome guest. That's a fantastic answer. And I would love to have you back on the show sometime.
Anytime.
But for now, thank you very much, and speak to you soon.
Appreciate it, Bob. Thanks for listening, everybody. Make it an awesome day.
Well, like me, you probably have a lot to think about now. Tom really turns the whole world on its head. And that's a great thing sometimes. But it's important, if something is working for you already, lean into that. Keep doing it. It's very tempting to just throw everything out and start something else when you hear someone like Tom. I took a lot from that. I'm going to be looking at some areas of my business, but I get that after every podcast guest. But Tom is very compelling. Before I go, just a quick reminder to subscribe, and if you haven't already, to join my Facebook group. You'll find a link in the show notes, or just visit amplifyme.fm/insiders. I would love for you to connect with me on social media. Find me wherever you hang out. Just look for @BobGentle. And if you do, message me, let me know, and I can follow you back. If you enjoyed the show, then I would love a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean so much to me, and it's the best way to help me reach new subscribers. My name's Bob Gentle. Thanks again to Tom Matzen for giving us his time this week, and to you for listening. And I'll see you next week.